Brad Sweet and Justin Henderson bring us to the green flag on night one of the premier Chevy Dealers Clash.
Brad Sweet jumps out to the lead as they race into turn number 2. Here comes Gravel to the outside now. He and J.J. Hickle making a 3-car battle. Hickle holds on to the third spot. Gravel back to the top of the racetrack. Side by side, they'll nearly be 3 wide as they come off of turn number 4.
Brad Sweet leads lap number 1, a 3-car race for the second spot between J.J. Hickle, Justin Henderson, and David Gravel. Gravel now sails around the outside of the Keen Motorsports number 11 and closes in on J.J. Hickle, racing for second into 3 and 4.
Here comes Gravel out of the outside of J.J. Hickle. He'll take the second spot away from J.J., put him back to third. Here comes Ryan Timms. Timms battling with Justin Henderson in turn number 2. Henderson in the 4th spot. Ryan Timms is 5th.
Side by side now between the 11 and the 10. Move Ryan Timms up into 4th.
He gets around Justin Henderson for the 4th spot. Brent Marks down the top of the racetrack in turn number 2. A big run down the back straightaway. He'll look to the outside. Henderson stays on the bottom in 3. Brent Marks to the cushion in turn number 4. Marks with a run to the outside. Off of turn number 4. Brent Marks. He'll take the spot away from Henderson.
Brad Sweet has led from the drop of the green flag. He's put some distance now between himself and David Gravel in traffic.
Brenham Crouch slowing off the pace in 3 and 4, but the battle right now between Ryan Timms and J.J. Hickle. At the flag stand, Timms has the spot by a nosewing. Here comes Hickle back to the inside in turn number 2. They're still wheel to wheel. Now Ryan Timms by a car length gets by J.J. Hickle. Ryan Timms 2 car lengths back from David Gravel. He's got to run. Oh, he gets over the cushion, losing big ground down the back straightaway.
Great save by Ryan Timms there, but it cost him a lot of track position on second place David Gravel. He's making it up rather quickly. Brad Sweet takes it down low into turn 1. Left front up on the inside berm. Midpoint of turns 1 and 2. Back straightaway for the final time.
Brad Sweet to the inside of turn number 3, looking for a win. To the top side of turn number 4. Checkered flag is in the air, and the Big Cat returns to victory lane at Knoxville.
Winning night number 1 of the premier Chevy Dealers Clash at the Knoxville Raceway, Brad Sweet. The green flag waves on the finale of the premier Chevy Dealers Clash at the Knoxville Raceway.
Side by side, they race it in turn number 1. David Gravel takes the lead through turn number 2. Rico running second. He's got company from Brian Brown as they race down the back straightaway. Ryan Timms up into the 4th spot, battle for 5th as they work off of turn number 4. But David Gravel will lead lap number 1.
Gravel out in front, and now Brian Brown again going to work on Rico Abreu for the second spot. Slides up, Abreu crosses back underneath him. Good stuff there as Ryan Timms makes it a 3-car battle for second. Now Ryan Timms closing in on the 21. Both drivers up to the high side of the speedway. Timms tries to cut the corner out of turn number 4 with a run to the inside of Brian Brown, racing for 30 to turn 1.
Big momentum from Ryan Timms as he takes the 3rd spot into turn number 2, getting by Brian Brown on the entrance in turn number 1. Down the back straightaway, Brown back in the 4th spot, but here comes Buddy Kofoid down to the inside, slides up across the racetrack. They nearly get together over the cushion in turn 4.
Buddy Kofoid caught a piece of the inside berm. Oh, upside down, a big crash in turn 4. Kerry Madsen upside down in car number 55. We are under red flag conditions.
It's like the 94 was sideways, and Kerry came into the picture there, got up over the front end of the 94, and sent him up into the air pretty big.
Gravel to the top of the speedway in 1 and 2. Rico slides across the racetrack. Ryan Timms now right on Abreu's back bumper. Brian Brown coming back at Buddy Kofoid to the inside in turn 3.
Brian Brown slides up across the nose of Kofoid. He gets over the cushion there. Kofoid turns the car to the left, pulls up alongside once again down the first straightaway. Good battle in that 4th spot. Ryan Timms made some moves there in the 3rd position, but the battle right behind him as Carson Macedo now beginning to close in on Buddy Kofoid.
Macedo works the high side as Kofoid looks to the inside of Brian Brown again up the racetrack right across the nose of the 21. Buddy Kofoid back by Brian Brown. He'll be 4th as they cross the line, and now Carson Macedo looks to the inside of Blackjack and Buddy Kofoid trying to go 2 for 1.
Into turn number 4. He'll put a lap car now between he and Rico. Now Rico gets around him on the outside. Down the first straightaway. Wyndham right there in front of Abreu. Abreu to the bottom of turn number 1. Wyndham through the middle. Here comes Ryan Timms and Buddy Kofoid battling it out. Now Timms down to the inside of Abreu.
Ryan Timms gets by Rico Abreu for second in traffic as they both contend with a 7 as a Chris Wyndham contact between Abreu and Wyndham. And now Kofoid to the inside of the speedway as they make their way out of turn 4. Abreu now challenged on the outside by the 41 of Carson Macedo. Macedo trying to get by the 24A Logan Sheward right there as well. Move Carson Macedo by Rico Abreu now into the 3rd spot.
Here comes Carson looking to the inside. They're side by side in turn number 4. Right on, they bang wheels in turn number 4. Timms hangs on to the spot as Carson gets the runner-up position.
Logan Sheward now looks to the inside of Rico Abreu, racing for the 4th spot. Give it to the Shark Racing number 1S as they make their way out of turn 2.
David Gravel through 1 and 2 for the final time, looking for win number 4 on the season. Down the back straightaway as they head toward turn number 3.
Gravel rides the low side into turn 3, out of corner number 4 to the checkered flag. David Gravel gets it done at Knoxville. He wins the finale of the premier Chevy Dealers Clash. David Gravel, another one with the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series here at the Knoxville Raceway. Brian Ward awaiting David Gravel's arrival on the Victory Lane stage. David having a little fun with the crowd here at the Knoxville Raceway.
It is Monday, April 27th, 2026. What's going on? I am Jimmy here with Jay-Z. We are the Turn 2 Terribles. Thanks, everybody, so much for tuning in. We got a great show planned for you tonight. We got Mark Smith, who's going to join us, and car owner Kyle Keen is also going to jump in here a little bit, too, as well. We're going to talk to him about his big win at Selins Grove on Friday night, as well as we want to get to know more about his career and everything else there. Long history there, so that's good. It's going to be a great interview for sure. We'll also talk about that race at Selins Grove on Friday night. Everything else in the area rained out for the weekend. Did get a couple heat races in at Williams Grove. We'll talk about the Outlaws that we just saw there at Knoxville, and also take a look at the weekend ahead as May starts to get real busy here in Central PA. A lot of national touring stuff coming in. We'll talk about some news. 39M just announced not too long ago. Kane will be running that car for the next 10 shows pretty much throughout the month of May here in PA. So that's cool. We'll talk about that later as well. And whatever else you guys want to talk about. Again, thanks everybody for tuning in live. See you guys in the chat here. Matt, James, Brent, Dave, Mandy, Marie. Thanks you guys so much for tuning in. If you guys got questions for Mark, please put them in the chat and we'll make sure we try to get to them as much as we can. And if you got any hot takes, predictions, anything else, we want to hear them from you guys. This is why we do this live. It's great to have you guys be a participant in this because we want to know what you fans think as well. Jay-Z, man, how are you doing tonight?
Man, I'm hyped. Nice little weekend off, really. Before we really get going, I was looking at the schedules, and man, it gets busy here real quick. So hopefully the weather cooperates here as we get into May, and we see a lot of great racing. And this is gonna be a fun one tonight. I'm excited. I haven't been as excited about a guest in a minute here. Not to take away from uh, not to take away from any of our recents, but yeah, I'm excited for this one.
Yeah. Well, let's not delay. We're gonna bring in our guest for tonight, Mark Smith, and also joining us too for a little bit will be car owner Kyle Keen. So, Mark and Kyle, thanks so much for joining us. How are you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing well.
All right. So, man, thank you for coming in here and spending a little time with us. And we were talking beforehand a little bit, and I was talking to my wife today, and I was like, I've watched Mark race for a long time in as I don't want to say grew up, but as my adult years and younger adult years. And I don't remember hearing a lot of interviews with Mark anywhere. Interviews, podcasts. I mean, I'm sure they've obviously happened, but you're not super public figure when it comes to your racing. Is that something you do by design, or you just kind of just not your style?
No, not really. I guess nobody wants to talk to me. I don't know.
I wasn't going to
I've
say
been on
that.
Wing
I can't
Nation
say
a
it.
few times, but I'm pretty busy all the time, and there's sometimes I can get with guys, and sometimes I can't. But as I get older, it slows down a little bit, other than having to deal with running my kids everywhere for sports. But yeah, we try to make the time.
Yeah, I appreciate it so much. And there's so much here that if I asked you the question I ask most guests first time and say, "Hey, let's talk about your racing history and your families," you'd probably have to talk for 3 hours. So, you know, not that it's been that long, but it's just full, a very full plate. Jimmy and I were chatting a little bit. Kyle and I were chatting. You know, you're a guy from Pennsylvania. You're here, but you have the probably one of the more interesting racing backgrounds of anybody that I might have come across or known. Um, and I always tell people that I don't really look up things before these shows and prepare, but there's just a couple things that I quickly found, and I could only find like quickly stats back to 1999. So let me ask you this, when did your full size sprint car career kind of get started?
I started in a 410 sprint car in 2001. Dabbled a little bit 2000, and then 2001 was pretty much my very first full season, which I wasn't, I was 30 years old when I got into a 410. So it wasn't like I was a spring chicken.
So that makes some sense of what I found. So just a couple quick things that I found looking is, and the math could be wrong. I didn't spend an hour doing this or write it down, so it's all memory. You have a win in a full size sprint car in one season in the it's like 21 or 22 seasons. You have a win, separate seasons. What I counted was 15 different states, 2 countries,
Yep.
and states from basically everywhere. So
Yeah.
as you kind of go through this and race, like, the 360 careers, obviously, in the South, you did really well.
Right.
Your second most amount of wins at any racetrack, or third is Florida, is Southern Florida. It's Port Royal, Selinsgrove, Williamsgrove are tied in, and Florida. So what is it about Florida and that racing that you liked? Was it, hey, I want to get the hell out of Pennsylvania and just be in the South for a while, or kind of
Yeah,
where
pretty
did you
much.
find that at some point? Pretty much. That was it. Warmer weather.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot warmer down there in the winter, but no, I guess I don't know, there's something about the sandy tracks, and East Bay was my bread and butter track, and now it's gone, but I still did real well at all the other tracks that we've gone to. I mean, I've pretty much, I think, just about won at every track I've ever been to, um, that I can think of, which I've been to a lot of them. I think I've been to over 100 some different tracks. There was some guy had a stat that was keeping track of how many different tracks I've been to, and it was over 100.
Wow.
And let- give me a couple that stand out to you, like some of the obscure ones that people wouldn't know about. I looked at the list of wins that you've had, and I read that there is a track called, where's it at? One second. There was a racetrack. I read the name of it. Farmington Empire, Missouri.
Yep,
I don't know if that's
Farmington,
just,
Missouri. Yeah, yeah, I
I
won a
don't know
410
that
race
one that
there.
well.
Lucas Oil's pretty beautiful too, isn't it, Mark?
What's that?
Lucas Oil's a pretty beautiful track, isn't it?
Oh, that's probably the nicest racetrack you'll ever go to as far as facilities.
It looks pretty
It's
awesome.
Lucas Oil.
Yeah.
yeah, Lucas Oil is really, really nice place. You're on pavement until you actually step foot on the track. You're on pavement the whole
Wow.
time.
That's pretty nice.
The other one I see
Yeah.
here that's interesting, and I don't know if I've ever heard about it because obviously we're PA, is Super B, Louisiana. What
Yep.
is it about? I see a few wins at that place.
Yeah,
Tell us a
I
little bit
got a
about.
few down there. Chatham, Louisiana. Yeah, it's I think that's what it was called. And I think it's called Super B now, but it used to be called Chatham.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Okay.
probably 3-4 races we won there. There's a lot down south that we've raced and won at. Milton Southern. It's a Southern Raceway. There's man, I don't know. There's a bunch. North Alabama. There's a couple down there. Columbus, Mississippi. I've been all over. I've been out through Texas, down through there, Oklahoma, up through, pretty much wherever I could go to find a race, that's where we'd go.
That's crazy. It's super interesting because I see Davey Franick and kind of running that 360 stuff down around the South and things, but it almost felt like you were sort of the Pennsylvania pioneer of doing that. I mean, or am I missing it? That there other guys from our area that went down there and kind of ran at that extent that you did during those years?
No, not really. When I was running down there was a lot of, like, actually Tony Stewart ran with us a lot at that time. And actually the Selzies come over, both the Selzy boys come over and raced with us a few times. And the Martins. There's been a lot of good racers when we were down there racing. And it actually was a lot of it during COVID because nobody could race here. And
Yeah.
so I packed my whole family and went south and stayed in Mississippi for like 2 months with my whole family, dogs, everything. took them all.
Wow.
And it was like a normal world down there. There was nothing going on. It was completely different than up here. Then we go to the racetracks and it's wall to wall people, packed houses like you can't even imagine. And it was a lot of fun doing it. And and Tony was following the whole deal, so it made it real fun because we always had good racing, and it always came down to the last lap a lot of times with multiples. Dale Howard was also part of it, which he's a customer of mine. But there's just there was a lot of good tracks that we went to, a lot of good drivers. So it made for a lot of fun.
So, did you have any serious conversations during that time of like, are we going to move here? Are we going to move down here? Did it ever get to the point where the family had that conversation, or was it just this is cool for now?
No, no, it was cool for now. I mean, there was a lot of people wanting me to move down there, but um, I I'm not. No, I don't. I mean, I like the weather's a whole lot nicer. It's not. I mean, sometimes they get a little cold down there, but no, I never really gave it a thought. We just basically kind of lived there on and off for about 2 years because of racing up here was kind of non-existent, and we could go down there and race as much as we wanted.
So, talking about your business, you kind of brought it up there a little bit. There's a lot of history here. So, if everybody listening, obviously, Mark Smith owns Mach 1 chassis, and there's a lot of history there, and there's a lot of history on this screen, and it's not with Jimmy and I. So, so Kyle Keen, owner, 17K, driver at some point again, maybe in the past, maybe again. But Kyle, Mark, what is the connection here? And I want Kyle to talk about this a little bit because Mach 1 chassis and Kyle Keen and his family, there's a big connection here. So can you go into that history a little bit?
Well, I think Mark's gonna have to kind of give us the history lesson because I was so young. But my understanding is Outlaw Chassis is kind of where I want to say, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong here, but kind of where you got started with chassis and got going.
Yep,
And
that was with your dad.
yep, with my dad Sean,
Yep.
and we started Outlaw Chassis, and Mark was one of the main guys there, and as you guys probably saw on Facebook, we won in 2003 at Selins Grove with Mark for the Ray Tilley Classic, and that was an Outlaw Chassis. So kind of fast forward, probably, I don't know. Mark was in the Zemco car, I think, at one point, and then decided to start uh, Mach 1, which I believe was a shining light on what we did with Outlaw Chassis. Am I accurate in saying that, Mark?
Yeah. Well, I mean, from when we were done with the Outlaw chassis, Barry Jackson bought out the equipment from your dad. I followed along with the equipment because I basically created that whole deal. And then it turned into a JEI chassis when I worked for Barry. And I worked for Barry for a while. And then there was kind of a little bit, once I got the Zemco ride, there was a little bit of a conflict of interest there. And so I had to make a choice, either race for Zemco or build race cars. And I went the Zemco route, which was a good decision. And so that continued on as JEI and then went to TI-22 and so on and so forth. And then I ran for Zemco for a while. And then after about 3.5 years, I quit racing there because I wanted to build my own chassis and they didn't want to because they were a big Maxim dealer. And I can't blame them. They didn't want to stray away from what they were doing. And I wanted to build my own cars. And so I decided to do it on my own. And here we are. I think 2003, 4, something like that. I don't remember. No, it was 2007 when I started Mach 1. Yeah.
So has that always kind of been, obviously you said before that you were working with Sean and Outlaw. Has building your own cars always been sort of an internal fight with yourself between am I a driver or am I a car builder or am I both? Has that always kind of been tugging at you both ways?
Not really. I always felt like I felt more comfortable when I was building my own stuff and racing it because I just knew what I had. When you got other cars, I mean, obviously other cars are just as just as well, but um, I always had to modify them and do things to them to make them the way I wanted them, and I just never felt like that was the correct way to do things. You buy something, you shouldn't have to fix it to make it right. So I was always the big thing about, you know, building a better race car in my eyes. I mean, as far as I know, I mean, some people might think I built a big piece of shit, but I don't know. But I have a few guys that run my stuff and run well. Like last year, we had the winningest 360 car in this country, and I had the winningest non-wing car in the country, plus one USAC title, and with Kyle Cummins, and Dale Howard was my 360 guy, and I didn't have a 410 guy, so who knows? If I would have had a full-time guy on the road, maybe we could have had a 410 guy too. But I'm going to try and take care of that this year. Maybe we'll see how that goes, but we're off to a good start.
So, real briefly, before we get to a couple questions that have come through, I do want to talk about Selins Grove this past week because, you know, I think everybody that was there or kind of attached to it has already heard the story that, listen, Chase Dietz is Chase Dietz. He's fast. He had it under control. But listen, if you're going to take advantage of something, you better be in position to, and you did, and you were able to. But talk us through the night a little bit, kind of start to finish. And what did it feel like when you realized, hey, checkered flag, 410, Mach 1, Selins Grove, all these years later? I mean, are you at the point where these things still kind of get you emotionally, or it was like, hey, got the job done?
I mean, yeah, I know I can still win races, obviously, but you never know when you're going to get the next win, especially racing around here. It's so tough to win here in Central PA. I mean, I went out to Lernerville and in places, Western PA, and the last, not last year. I didn't hardly race at all last year. But the year before, we went out to Lernerville. We won like 5 or 6 races at multiple tracks like Tri-City, Mercer, Lernerville, and Pittsburgh Motor Speedway. We won at those tracks. And for me, as I was owning my own stuff at the time, and that's what I raced out there because that was what I was racing against equivalent equipment to mine, and I can't afford to race, period, but I was doing it. So the best option was to go out there. I could at least, you can run your tires a lot longer out there because the tracks don't tear them off. They're a little smaller racetracks, which I'd prefer racing on a smaller racetrack because I like the bull ring stuff, which, some of theirs are. But it just made more sense for me financially to race there than to race here because I could get more time out of my engine, more time out of tires, and if nothing happened, I could pretty much run top 3 to top 5 every time, which pretty much covered my costs. And then I won a couple of special races, which 5-6 grand races. When you can do that a couple times, that adds to your kitty, and you find a cheap hotel to stay in, and it didn't cost a whole lot to really do it. So it made more sense for me as a car owner. And now I'm not a car owner. I just can't do it. That's why I'm driving for Kyle. But actually, I was going to be Kyle's crew chief, but they drug me out of the crew chief deal and made me a driver again.
You didn't have to twist your arm very hard.
No,
No.
not
Okay.
at all.
I didn't. Man.
So
So Kyle, let's talk about that a little bit, right? And I followed you through your journey from the start. I would say from iRacing to a 305, right? From the 305, the 358, for a little while, and then to this 410, and admittedly, I think you'd say, hey, I was getting the hang of it, but I was also struggling. There were some things, whether it was, I don't think you guys ever went to the track underprepared, but there was just things. There were just things as a program. So you kind of get Mark on board and hire. At what point did you say, "Hey, Mark, why don't you drive this thing for me?" Like, not at the time last year, maybe it wasn't full time. Obviously, we talked about you have plans this year, but last year when that kind of went down, or the year before, I forget, it was the end of the year before. How did that kind of journey go, Kyle? Like, Kyle, I know you, and we know each other pretty well, and I can't imagine that was easy to say. Here's the keys. You can you go do this? Like, walk us through that a little bit about that journey and kind of where we're at now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like I still want to drive. Like I want to be that guy. Like my whole intent getting into sprint car racing was like I want to be the driver. Like I want that raw excitement, like the adrenaline, like that's me. But um getting into 410s is extremely difficult, and I knew that when we were going into it. Um I felt like probably needed another year in 358s, but the the way that the beginning of last year ended up with me basically leading 75% of that feature at Baps and then stuffing in the fence kind of forced me into the 410 motor because I had to go get mine 358 fixed. So you know, I probably rushed myself into the 410 a little bit, but at the same time I was like, okay, like you either got to do it or you don't. Like so um I was excited to jump in. I felt like I really started to get the hang of it. I got the speed down pretty quickly. But where I think we were struggling was just like consistency with the car, like making the right adjustments, um, getting me comfortable. Like I felt like a lot of the time it was like I wasn't comfortable and I didn't know like why. And I felt like something needed to change. So like going into last year, I was like, I really feel like I need to bring somebody with a lot of knowledge to our program. And obviously, Mark fits that mold very well, especially with our history and the way that Mark carries himself fits very well with like me and my family. So it made it very easy for Marcus to kind of slide in and start helping us out. Um, from a car owner slash driver standpoint, somebody like Mark is extremely valuable because not only was Mark on the road, but he was on the road with very little. So like he had to know how to fuel the car, set up the car, drive the car, um, all the stuff that you kind of like need feedback on. Mark has done personally. So um, I needed that, and I feel like my team needed that feedback. So when Mark jumped on, we made some good progress, but I felt like we were still missing something. So I was like, "Hey, man, like, why don't you just jump in and tell me what you feel?" And he jumped in, and like the first night, I remember like we were at the Grove or something. He was like, "Yo, we got a lot of stuff to change." Like, like right away, he's like, "We got a lot to work on." I was like, "Okay, okay." And then I built the 53 car for my dad as a throwback. It was kind of a mixture of building a car that I want that fits me as far as a cage, and also doing something for my dad because of all the history that we had with Mark with the 53, and kind of doing something special for my dad that I haven't been able to do. So um, Mark jumped in the car, and we had some pretty immediate speed, especially at Port when we ran third the one night. Obviously we were off a little bit, but he led some laps, and um, it just made me think like, hey, like why don't we just keep working at this and just let Mark drive? And at some point later on down the road, when he becomes an old man and he gets washed up and he doesn't want to drive anymore, then then maybe I'll hop back in and maybe give it a shot. So I'm having a lot of fun watching Mark. You know, it's really cool to like, especially at Selins Grove this past Friday. Like, it's really awesome to watch Mark drive it into the corner as hard as he does at Selins Grove. There's not many guys that are driving in that hard in the corner and having the confidence knowing that's going to stick and just take off. And you know, I would say he has that level of confidence of somebody like a Chase or a Danny. But maybe we just don't have the car under him yet. But the confidence is there. So it's exciting to watch. It's cool to see my car right up front. That's what I've been wanting. And obviously we're starting to tailor the car to Mark and what we need to go fast. And I'm hopeful. You know, Friday night made me think like, hey, maybe we're starting to get somewhere. So at some point, maybe I want to hop back in at a BAPS practice and then maybe jump into a race here coming up in the near future. But I also don't want to take away from what we have going on with Mark. So my car and what I do is going to be separate and backseat to what we're doing with Mark. Um, so you know, we have some things in the works going on with motors and things like that, which is where we definitely need to improve our program. But yeah, so we want to keep pushing the Mark thing along and making him go fast and making money. That's what it's all about. So
So what was that like in Victory Lane Friday night? You were there, Kyle. I know you've been really grinding at personal life and some work and going on, but you were able to make it Friday night. You snuck out of work and you said, "I'm out of here. Don't call me," and turn your phone off. No, I'm just kidding. But what was that like Friday night? You came across, took the checkered flag, man. What was that like? Just holy shit, this just happened.
yeah, so it's funny because when we did hot laps, I saw so we were trying a couple different things with shocks and you know very minute things. What I've learned with Mark is it's not about big swings; it's about small things. And we made some very minute changes to the way we were attacking our shocks, and it made a big difference. And I saw it in hot laps right away. And I was kind of like, all right, like we look pretty competitive, even if the time like we had some things we could have done to probably improve our time with the motor, but where we were, like I was pretty happy. And then I watched him, you know, win the heat race, and it was the car looked very good. So I was very confident that we were gonna have a good night. Um, and then when he got back into second in the feature, I was like, okay, like we had a solid night tonight. Like we ran second. Obviously, Chase is doing his thing like half a track away. So like we had a good night. And then when Chase blew a tire, I was like, I was just thinking about, I was talking to Matt. I was sitting on top of the mule and I was like, please for once, let it be us. Like we've had so many problems with motors and like different things and like, you know, whatever it could be. Like we've had so many problems. Like please for once just let it be us. And and Mark did an incredible job and did what Mark does best, which is win races. And you know, even with guys breathing down his neck, you know, just that's somewhere like maybe like if I was leading, I probably would have lost the race because I probably wouldn't have slid myself. I would just send it into one on the top and hope for the best. But like that experience that Mark carries is what got us there. And you know, it was really cool to watch. But honestly, it was kind of a buzzkill for me because I didn't know that we won. Um, like I thought that like it was a green white checkered, and it was actually just a green checkered. So like I was sitting on top of the mule and like we're like, okay, who won? Because I thought Chase got him at the line or passed him on the white lap, which was actually the checkered.
Plus, his
And
transponder wasn't working too, so
plus
that
the
kind of
Right.
plus
Yeah.
the
Somebody forgot
transponder
to charge it.
plus the transponder died. So like I was like, yo, I don't know what happened. And like we were staying in the infield because you can't hear like the announcer in the infield very well. And like he like pushed across the scales and nobody's saying anything. And it was like 5 minutes later, and then I was like, all right, Dad, let's just hop in the mule and like drive up there and see where they push him. And he pushed him onto the stage. And I was like, holy shit! Like, like he did it.
You
And
were
Mark's like,
there.
yeah, I won. I won by half a car. Like, what are we talking about? I'm like that's not what I saw. Like, you know, but so it was really cool. I mean, honestly, like, from somebody where we've struggled with, and Jeremy, you could attest to this, like we've struggled with motor problems probably since the day that I started racing. To finally like crest that hill a little bit. Maybe not totally. Like I'm saying, we're out of the woods, but to at least be able to get to the point where we're getting competitive, the point where we can win races, is pretty cool. Like we put ourselves in position. I'm not saying we were anywhere close to where Dietz was speed wise. And and who knows to say where Danny would have ended up if he would have been able to complete that race. But we were a top 3 car lot on the night we won on Friday night, and Mark did what he needed to do to put us in position to win, and that says a lot about Mark and his capabilities.
So yeah, like you kind of got into a lot there in motor problems. I mean, it started in your 305. To be
Yeah.
honest, for into your 358, couldn't get it to run on restarts, couldn't get it to run. Just these times where you needed it, and to help you learn, it was the other things kind of held you back, and then you got into the 410s and had some problems. Even your first year Hagerstown Speed Week, right?
Yeah.
I think you
Yeah.
had it. That was the first detonation, I would say.
Yeah.
And then, you'd kind of turn and you hand the keys over to Mark, and there was some pretty quick success, but then just as quickly it was, we blew up 1, we blew up 2. Holy shit. What are we going
And
to
we
do?
blew up
Right.
Mark's.
So,
Yeah, we blew mine
Yeah.
up too.
and holy shit, I didn't even know that. I don't think, but
Yeah.
so I remember the first night Mark got in the car, and it was at Williams Grove, and I was in the pits, and and you're like, kind of setting up. Mark's in the car, and I remember either the end of the night or right after, not long, maybe we talked, whatever, and you kind of were like, the effect of Mark got out and was like, I don't know how you've been driving this car. So, Mark, do you remember that? And was it as bad as
Oh yeah,
I thought as a
yeah,
fan?
it was
Was it?
pretty
Was it?
evil. Yeah, he did a hell of a job when he was driving it, because I was like, holy shit, this thing is awful. And I'm thinking, man, I've been giving him a really, really bad race car. But we had other issues that I couldn't control at the time because I didn't know. But you know, once I sat in the seat, because I'm not good at watching the car, because I'm so used to being in the seat, and I just fixed the problem, for myself. I haven't been a crew chief to where, I have to stand there and watch somebody and figure out, okay, well, I mean, I kind of can watch and know what to do, but there was something I was missing when I was watching him. I'm like, something still ain't right, because I'm like, I can't figure it out. Because he was always sawing on the wheel. Well, we figured out that there was a problem with steering and the front axle that was in it. Once I drove it, I'm like, holy shit, he's doing really good for, because I went over to the Grove, about killed myself in it. But we got all that sorted, but it only took me a couple laps to figure out, like, okay, here's what we got to do. And we changed those. We couldn't change them that night, but we changed them the next night, and we got everything straightened out. That's when we went to port and ran real well. So, but I felt like he did a good job, because we were making shows and he was running decent and making laps and finishing the races, and without crashing, because I spun out at the Grove with it, because I'm like, Jesus, this thing's horrible. I was like, I'm not a very good crew chief, but so we got that stuff straightened out.
And I'll tell you this, and I've talked to a lot of young drivers on the show. We've had a lot of young guys, and I've talked to Kyle about this personally a lot through his journey. And I'm going, Kyle, like, he would get, have expectations. He's a competitive guy. And, I can watch a race car, and I couldn't have said what was wrong, but I knew something just never, either whether it was Kyle or it was the car or both. I didn't, you don't know. And I kept telling Kyle, and young drivers, I say the same thing. You don't know what you don't know. So Kyle wouldn't have known what to fix,
Right.
because I'm
Right.
driving the race car based on what's in front of me, wheel and pedals. I don't know what I'm supposed to feel. I don't know what I like yet. And like Kyle was talking about, chasing comfort and chasing comfort. He could have chased that forever and not known.
Yeah.
And I encouraged Kyle, and if you remember the conversation, like, hey, why don't we have some friends that in the 410 game, like, go to a test and see a guy that drives, maybe take 10 laps, maybe whatever. And I'm as a friend of Kyle's, I'm kind of glad this journey has gone the way it has, because it absolutely can now accelerate Kyle's learning when he gets back in the race car, because it's doing what it's supposed to do. You can now, Kyle can get in it and go, okay, the steering works the way it's supposed to, the brakes work the way they're supposed to, the car's doing what it should be doing. Now I got to find what I like. So, for young drivers, we've had on here a lot, like, there's some alien these kids that just get in and it just goes and it does it. But for some of these guys that, transition, whether it's from, a micro to a full size car, they don't know what they don't know. And how do you learn that stuff? And how do you even diagnose there's a problem if you don't know there's a problem? So super interesting for you, Mark, to kind of do this. Have you ever been in this position before where it's kind of happened this way, where you jumped in someone else's stuff, not at the time to be permanent, but even jumped in as like, hey, I'm the test pilot. Can you help me figure out what's wrong? Have you ever had that before in your career?
Yeah, I actually last year maybe or the year before I got into Mike Walter's car at Port, and because they were having some deal and issues with the one car that they were running, and it wasn't even one of my cars. So I'm real good friends with them, and Mike's like, why don't you just drive our car? Because he was driving a 77 at the time, so I drove the 33 car. So I got in there and I was like, whoa, okay, here's an issue. It's sitting right from hot laps. So I couldn't fix it at the track, but we did the best we could, and we got it better. I've had them give me a motor before to try, because a lot of times guys will give me an engine to run to see if is it doing what it's supposed to? Is it fueled right? And sometimes, I can help them. Sometimes I can't, but I either tell them, yeah, this is good, or no, this is not good. We got to do something different. But I get a lot of people that do that. I've had people give me an engine and said, here, my guy can't drive this thing. He said it's horrible, this and that. And I put one in for 11 races and won 2 races with it and ran top 5 every time. So, I've done that for teams. Nobody knows who it came from, but that's between me and the other guy. But, so, and as me owning my own stuff and running my stuff, I took advantage of that stuff because that meant that I didn't have to run my engine that night, and it saved me money. Sure. To be able to go run somebody else's engine for a few races and get it figured out. But there's been a few times that I've done that for people, because like I drove my stuff a lot different, and I drove it for years. Like for instance, at Port Royal, I didn't drive Port Royal the way I needed to because I couldn't afford to. I went up there one night and I was bouncing off the fence and ran good. We ran top 5, and I come off. I got a junk right rear wheel, no W link. It was like $1,000 worth of damage, and I finished top 5, and it barely paid for the damage I did. And I'm like, I can't afford to race like this up here, but that's what you have to do. So yeah. I'm like, this is not going to work good. So I had to drive to the way I had to drive conservative, just because I couldn't afford to drive the way I needed to win the race. But now, with Kyle, I'm comfortable enough in the car that I'm going to drive the shit out of it, and that's what they want me to do. So if I'm not driving the shit out of it, there's something wrong because the car's not right. There's, we're missing something. But now it's going to be a little different story for me, because now I can actually race the way I need to.
So have you tried to talk Kyle into taking the wing off yet?
No, well, I have thrown that at him once in a while, but because I'll do it. I don't care. I'll drive it. I'll drive anything, but I don't think they want to go that route. But there is Eastern Storm coming up here shortly. But
yeah,
that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, and I sold my Silver Crown, so I can't run that.
Car.
What's that?
Is that Kyle?
A wingless sprint car isn't a real sprint car.
Oh no!
Yeah, but there's real drivers.
You heard me, Billy. You heard me, Billy.
Jimmy, a couple fan questions here for Mark. If you can find a couple of those
there was a couple from earlier. Marie asked, and this is kind of for both of you, but what does your schedule look like for this summer?
It looks like at least once a week, once every weekend, sometimes 2 times a weekend. It's all up to Kyle. I guess if we're winning races and running up front and bringing some money in, we could pretty much just run whatever as long as everybody has the time to do it. And we have the engines, because right now we only have one engine. So if there's anybody out there that has any engines they want to sponsor us, that's we could surely use it.
Amen.
Dr. Wood asks, what's the fan base for sprint car racing in the Deep South? And is there a chance for it to grow in the future?
Well, there was tracks that we went down there to race at, and there was standing room only at most of them. So they have a very, very good fan base because they don't get to see the sprint car stuff very often. So there was always a huge crowd.
And Ryan Good asks, I'm going to ask a question for everyone. What is the difference between a sandy track and a clay track? Grip or anything different?
Clay tracks tear the tires off a little more than the sandy tracks. The sandy tracks seem to stay a little more greasy feeling. So you basically, it's kind of like racing on a slick track all the time, but it's not like getting after the tires. So where a clay track, they'll have grip, and then all of a sudden they don't have grip, and then they start tearing tires off. The sand tracks never seem to like rubber up or something. They just kind of stay greasy, wet, because basically sand tracks are down south, so you're close to the ocean or close to some sort of water. So it kind of keeps the tracks moist. Like, well, there's one track that we raced at a few times was the ditch in West Memphis, Arkansas. That place is real close to the Mississippi River. It's almost like racing at East Bay. You can go there and it is looks like a sheet of ice. You walk across, you can see your reflection, or you could go out there the next week and it's so heavy you can't put enough tear offs on. And it'll stay like that all night. It'll never go away. And from what I've been told, that place in its whole existence of a racetrack, it's never had to put clay on it because it just kind of rejuvenates itself somehow.
Or
Yeah, I guess it's that Mississippi River dirt, black clay stuff like Knoxville. It's pretty fun place actually. And actually, I won the inaugural Greg Hodnett Memorial race there. I went down there because that's where that was his local track, and I wanted to be at the first one because I was pretty good friends with Greg, and we actually won that night for money. That was great.
That's awesome.
I got the trophy to prove it.
And then here's one from James Magby. Who were all your super sportsman teammates back in the day? Talk a little bit about your sportsman days.
Well, only had one time I had a teammate was Joe Reniger, when we ran the 25 cars. But other than that, I didn't have any other teammates then.
There you go.
Has anyone ever called you in I don't know, when's the last time anyone has ever called, maybe if ever, to get back into sportsman? Has that been a thing?
Colton bugs me once in a while about coming down and doing something down there. I don't know if anybody ever give me a ride, but I wouldn't be opposed to it. I mean, like I said, I'll drive anything. I mean, I'm not. I went to I drove a 305 at West Memphis at the ditch one night. So they threw me in one of them. I won the race. So I'm undefeated in a 305 right now. I ran one race and won it. So
There you go, sportsman teams. You find a free Saturday night on his calendar. Maybe you could have Mark Smith as your driver. That would be kind of
There you go.
cool. That
That
would be
would be
fun to see.
awesome.
The oh shit, there was something that came up earlier I wanted to ask you about. Kyle, actually for you, with Mark and the journey, kind of what we talked about earlier, figuring out, hey, what we had, I don't want to say wrong, but wrong. Has this helped you too as sort of a mechanic slash crew chief slash knowing these cars better when Mark jumped on and started kind of saying, hey, here's some things, let's go search this, and the knowledge he's had, I know it hasn't helped you as a driver yet. I think it's going to, but the stuff outside the car as you continue this journey in your career, has him being just the driver and that immediate kind of things he found and fixed, is that something you've already kind of like, hey, notebook, I'm never going to forget that?
Yeah, yeah. I kind of like. I wouldn't say I write it down. Like my dad's like very intense, like note keeping.
oh
Versus
yeah.
I'm just kind of like in my head, like okay, Mark made that change, like noted. Um, yeah. So like it's funny you say that because like my wife thinks that I have a higher future in the sport as like a crew chief than like a driver. Obviously, that's what like she wants is for me to be out of the car, um, because it's less dangerous, especially with having a little guy. But yeah, no doubt. I mean, like a lot of little things that it's hard. It's like so, like for example, like before Mark got came to us, it's hard to as an inexperienced person drive the car and then get out of the car and make changes and know that they're right. So like um Mark's helped with like a lot of little things like what ride heights to be at, like what blocks we need to be at for certain situations, like um maybe not changing so much, like maybe not moving the tires as much as we were, or making torsion bar changes as much as we were, or nozzles, or whatever it could be. um Maybe I was making too many changes to try to address an incomfort that wasn't related to the changes we were making or starting with. So yeah, the benefit of Mark bringing like some maybe more simplified thinking to a very non-simplified process is really important for me, especially as a driver, and as I continue my journey as a driver at some point. um it's also really cool to watch Mark and how he maneuvers himself on the racetrack in certain situations. I've learned a lot just watching him do the things he's done in the car, and it's probably very natural to Mark, but like something that I would take me a long time to figure out. And what makes me hopeful is like the story we talked about earlier, where Mark didn't start racing 410 till he was 30. Well, like same, bro. So like like a lot of these guys are peaking, like Macri, for example, they're peaking in their late 20s. Like these guys are dominating the sport when I'm just getting started. So like um I hope I'm not getting too old. I think Mark's a testament to it can be done. But
Only a number.
the best thing that I did was put Mark in the car to figure out what's going on, and it was a total tear in my heart to watch somebody else drive my race car. But it's been the best thing that we've ever done.
Hey, how many times did we change the tires on Friday?
I guarantee you, if that would have been me, I'm like, oh, we're both new ones on.
Ran the same tires all night.
I want to talk about the surface on Friday. It got really wide. It seemed like part of the reason why maybe Chase was, and you were in another pack, Mark, with Bishop and Karkland and I believe Ryan Taylor and Buckwalter that were also going through lap traffic. The track was pretty wide. It seemed like you were able. The top was fast, but it seemed like you were able to move around. Is that accurate? Like you guys
Yeah.
were able to move around quite a bit.
Yeah. The only problem that I had was there was too many multiple lanes, and when we came up on traffic, they were scattered so far across that it was hard to get by anybody because you couldn't. There was no lanes left.
Right.
They were all used up. Like we came up on 2 lappers when I was trying to get Bishop. He was running a lane. The lap car in front of him was running a lane, and the lap car that guy was racing was running a lane. So there's 3 lanes taken up, and I'm trying to make another one. So it's, it was, I really enjoyed the track. The track was about as good as you can get it as far as I'm concerned.
It's smooth.
Yeah.
It was
Very smooth.
nice. I mean, it was really, really racy. And it just, I think it was pretty good.
So we appreciate the time so much. This has been amazing. I want to ask you about Mach 1 and where you're at with Mach 1. You kind of talked about Kyle Cummins and Dale Howard. So what's the state of Mach 1 right now, and what are your goals with it, and what's the future look like?
It's pretty good right now. We've been building a lot of race cars. Well, it's only me. I don't have any employees anymore. It's just me. I do everything myself. The chassis business is real good. Actually, my non-wing guys, that's really starting to take off. It's taken like 15 years to actually get people to want to buy my cars for out there. Because I've always had a car with Hank Byram, which is KTJ is driving for him right now. I've had a car with him for 16, 17 years, and he's been a loyal customer, and he's kind of my dealer out there. And it's taken that long, and Kyle used to drive for him for years. And when Kyle left, all he wanted was my cars. He didn't want anybody else's because he's been through the whole gauntlet of cars. And he always said he liked mine the best. So that's why he stuck with me with the Petty Performance Racing. And so now we're starting to get some more guys that, some bigger names like Gunnar Sensor has a car I'm doing for him right now. I'm just getting ready to finish that up. They're itching to get it because they're wanting to come out and pick it up. Harley Burns is getting a car. So I'll have 4 guys that are, fairly well known on the USAC stuff in local in Indiana, which I have some other fellas that have been, that bought some used stuff from guys that are running and really like the cars. And I have some wing guys starting to trickle in here, but everybody in this area wants something for nothing. So that's why you don't see many around here, because everybody thinks they're Carl Kinzer or Steve Kinzer, one or the other. So, and I don't entertain that because I have to pay for my shit. So I'm not going to give people their, give it away. I can't afford to. So,
Yeah, I'd say
but
Kyle Cummins is a good one to have your name slapped on his race car, because he gets a lot out of everything out of a race car, I would say.
oh yeah, he drove the shit out of that thing last night.
Yep.
He was at Kokomo. Actually, I almost won both nights with 2 different cars out there this weekend. But yeah, that part's been really well. Just moved into a new shop. Still trying to get things sorted there, but it's way more efficient than where I was at.
That's awesome.
No, that's good to hear. And so, what's the best way if someone stumbles across this show? What's the best way to get a hold of Mach 1 Chassis? Phone number, website, Facebook
Yeah,
page?
just
What would you say is
call
the
570-898-8018. Just call. I probably won't answer because I'm welding most of the time or on a machine, can't hear it. But I do call back. So just leave a message and we'll get back to them.
It usually goes right to voicemail, but he will call you back.
Yeah, I
so?
do.
A question I ask every driver that's here, and Jimmy's gonna do some sponsor shout outs. We'll have Kyle do those. Not that you don't know them, Mark, because you just did it Friday night. But what left in your career here? What you got left? I don't care if it's crazy or not. It can be as crazy as you want to make it. What's a race that you would love to win before you hang up the helmet?
Tuscarora 50.
Nice.
I love it.
Love
But
it.
it used to that race haunts me every damn time. It's been a minute since I've really got to run it, but I've led that thing. I don't know how many times and never just could something blow tire or just something stupid would always happen. And that's happened to me a lot on big races. Like I could have won a lot of big races, but something stupid always happens that we couldn't finish, or like I had like Grandview. I've never won Grandview, and I love that racetrack, and I've led so many laps there. And I was running the Zemco car one night, last lap, 2 lap cars right in front of us crash, took me out, coming to the checkered, coming off a 4, took me
Oh.
out, didn't win. I was down there leading an all-star show, just checked out, half track. I was there by myself. I went there by myself. And I actually picked up a guy while I was there, and he was helping me. And I was checked out. 13 laps to go. I get a flat, and little Freddie ended up winning. And I actually had to go. I went to the rear, came in and got my tire changed. They drug me in, and actually Stewart's crew changed my tire for me. And went out and started in the rear and came back and still finished 10th within 13 laps. So, but that place has haunted me. But Tuscarora 50 is probably the one that I would love to have. That one's bucket list stuff.
It's awesome.
That's the one. Oh man, Jimmy, go ahead with Kyle. I thought there was one more that came up when he talked about.
Well, you got to
couple that
ask him
got
your.
away.
You got to ask him your question.
Oh, I guess I
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Yeah.
This
one's
man, that was really the question I just asked was the one that our dearly departed friend Chris would always ask people. But mine is, man, this could be a wild one actually. I need you to name 2 drivers. A driver that you love racing with, and this could be anywhere, any division, any time of your career. Someone you love racing with. It's a good time. You have fun for whatever reason, and somebody you just do not like racing with. Again, for whatever reason you want to make it. Any division, any time, any era. I don't care. One of each.
Are you asking me or
Mark.
go ahead, Mark?
One that I hate driving around. Man, I don't know. I don't remember. I'm trying to think of who's. I never really hated anybody that I raced against, other than if they wrecked me once in a while. But I never held a grudge.
Let's say
I'd say
sometimes I call this like the Ryan Newman thing, where maybe they're a pain in the ass to pass. They're always in your line. They make it difficult on you. It could even be that.
Donnie Kreitz used to be like that. I mean, no offense, but there was a lot of times where it was like he was so hard to get around out of anybody on the track. He was the hardest one to get by. When I was racing here locally all the time on a weekly basis, and he was. And then I would say probably there's 2 drivers that I always enjoyed racing with. I mean, actually, there's a few drivers that I always enjoyed racing with. I always had really a lot of fun racing with Tony because we always had good racing. Tony Stewart and Dale Howard. I always had a lot of good racing with him. And believe it or not, I always liked racing with Danny Dietrich. Because you know where you stand with Danny. He'll race the shit out of you, but that's his job. And a lot of people don't like him for racing hard. Well, I don't mind it one bit because I like to race hard. If I have the equipment, which I have the equipment now, so look out, Danny. Here we come. But I always like racing with Danny here locally because he'll race you hard, but he will not purposely take you out. He'll race the shit out of you, and I like that.
That's awesome.
Kyle, did you speak up? Did you have a couple there you had?
I hate racing against Mark Smith.
That's good. Couple more fan questions here before we get to sponsors. Marie Beasley asks, Mark, are you gonna run any USAC races this year? And any plans? there or now? Mark, oh wait, he's muted. I think he muted himself by accident.
How about now?
That might be the
Am
end
I
of it.
there?
Nah, we
Oh,
got
there
you.
you
Yep,
are.
there you go.
Okay, shit. I must have hit the button or something. But as far as USAC stuff, no, I don't have any plans. Unless I would dust the cobwebs off my car that's sitting up here. I'm actually trying to sell all my stuff, so unless Kyle wants to do something, which I highly doubt, but um, no, I other than going to watch, help customers stand watch, but that's it.
David Dudis asked, "Are we going to see any new Mark Smith shirts this year?"
I don't know that I can't afford that stuff. That would be up to Kyle if he wanted to do something there, but as far as it goes for me, no, I don't think so.
And Eric Schrock says, I mean, obviously we know what the deal is right now, but he says, does Mark still go to the races by himself? I seen him race Indiana Sprint Week without a pit crew, just himself. Is that true?
Yeah, I did the whole sprint week by myself.
That's why.
Jesus.
That's insane.
Yeah. Yeah, I did the whole sprint
Like,
week by
okay,
myself.
Like one night, sure, okay. The whole damn week?
The whole week, yeah. Actually, I blew up a motor at Terre Haute one night, and then I stayed at where Cottle was driving for a guy. That I stayed at their shop, and he actually he was my help for one day. He actually helped me change a motor. But yeah, I've gone to a lot of places by myself and raced. I was in Alabama. I went to southern Mississippi, I think it was, and ran 2 nights down there by myself. And ran second. I think we won one night, but there's multiple times. But most of the time when I was traveling, I had one guy with me, and that was a good friend of Jerry. I pretty much, I drove everywhere because he wouldn't drive. So I drove everything, and I did it for a
That's
lot by
crazy.
myself. So nobody wants to go, screw 'em. I'll do it myself. I don't care. I've won races by myself. I can do it with or without. So,
It's crazy because I've seen here and there some of that, people just showing up by themselves. There's a guy at Bloomsburg a couple years ago that ran a modified. He showed up there by himself, and I ended up helping him out with whatever I could. You know what I mean? Just
yeah.
you love to see that competitive spirit. Hey, I just want to go and race
Yeah.
anyway. I don't care if I have to go myself. It's awesome. Just
Yeah,
love it.
yeah, yeah. Well, I was like at that night at Grandview. I went by myself, and I was, I don't know. I think it was like third quick, won the heat, won the dash, led most of the feature, got a flat, and had somebody else change my damn tire for me.
And I think it was to show right there, the camaraderie in the pit area too.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, even though you're by yourself, you're not really by yourself. You know?
Yeah,
what I
but
mean?
people pay attention. If they know you're by yourself, there's people watching out for you.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you again so much for joining us. This was a lot of fun. Kyle or Mark, both of you, whatever.
Yeah.
Shout out to those sponsors. Who's helping you guys get to the track every week?
Well, Keen Real Estate. There you go. How about that?
I would say right now.
Clover Farms.
Yep. I would say right now it's Kyle Keen, Sean Keen, Tom Keen, and Mark Smith. Fine line auto body, helping with some paint.
Yep.
And then you can slap Sean Keen's face on the side of the top wing.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sean's a very important key to the whole process because he does most of the work.
He does. He's if it wasn't for my dad, we would not make it probably to 90% of the races that we do.
Yeah, and also Matt, he's been doing a hell of a job on the tires and stuff, and then he goes over nuts and bolts and stuff, and whatever Sean doesn't catch, Matt gets. So, but yeah, the between those two, I mean, it's a pretty good deal because I as much as I want to right now, I can't get down because I'm so busy in my own shop. And then when I'm done there, I have to run kids to sports and crap. And then by the time I just can't do it. But
Right.
eventually, maybe I can squeak down once a week and do it. But those two guys there are key to our program.
They're the heart and soul. We couldn't do it without Matt and Dad, and
And the guy that pays the bills, Kyle.
well, that's the easy part. The spending money is the easy part. But
Gotta
but
have a guy paying the bills. If that don't happen, we ain't going raising nowheres.
the reality is, without Matt and Dad, Mark and I couldn't enjoy things like we did Friday night at Selins Grove.
Right.
Those guys. I mean, hell, Matt's dealing with Danny Dietrich in the middle of the week, getting tires. He'll send a text out like, "Hey, what do we need? We'll kind of talk about it." Matt takes care of it, mounts them. Dad does the car. Like, there's very little input from me during the week other than spending the money. And Mark's obviously helping with setup, but it's those two. And we're very fortunate to have my dad, and very fortunate to have somebody like Matt Schaefer who, like Matt, we raced three nights, the one
Yeah,
weekend.
the last weekend, yep. Or 2
And
weekends ago.
and Matt stayed at my parents' house the whole weekend just to make sure that the car was ready. So you don't find those kind of guys, and Matt holds a special place in our heart. I think in the Keen family. So
That's awesome. One more question before you guys go. What's the plans for this upcoming weekend? You guys got any?
Win Port Royal, win Baps.
There you go. There you go. I love it.
Hell
Well,
yeah.
we appreciate you guys joining us. We hope to see you guys in Mark and Kyle. We hope to see that car again in Victory Lane here soon with you guys. And love the pairing. And congratulations again on your win on Friday night at Selins Grove. And thanks for joining us.
All right,
thanks,
thanks guys. Thanks for having us.
And thank you so much, guys. Take care.
Yep, we'll see you. Bye.
Mark Smith and Kyle Keen, everybody. Kyle jumped in there. That was cool. That was cool to be able to have them both on, car owner and car driver. And yeah, that was just that was fun. A lot of good input there from Mark. And yeah, let's talk about Friday night a little bit more. Go over the hold on, let me get the right view here. That works. So yeah, Mark Smith wins on Friday night at Selins Grove over Chase Dietz, Austin Bishop, Ryan Taylor, Cody Lehman. Your top five: Garrett Bard, Steve Buckwalter, Billy Dietrich, Mike Thompson, and Dylan Cisney. Your top 10 heat race winners were Mark, Chase, and Bishop, and your hard charger coming from going plus 13 from 18th to 5th was Cody Lehman, and your quick time overall for the night was Jake Karchner. Had 20 cars. Brock Zierfoss pulled off in his heat, had motor issues. Joey Amantia, he pulled off during hot laps with some motor issues, so 18 started. Danny Dietrich early on was second to Dietz. Pulls off. He must have had some rear end issues. But it still ended up going pretty much green to almost checkered. The checkered flag was out of turn 4 when Chase had who had lapped up to 4th place at that point. He got up to around Ryan Taylor, and Jay Karchner was up there. He got up to 4th place at that point. I thought he was going to lap the entire field. It was almost like Sheldon Hansfield that one time at I-55. It was something to watch. But again, Mark was fast. There was a group from like 2nd to 5th that was slicing through the rest of the traffic, and Mark was the leader of that one, starting to pull away a little bit from Austin Bishop. Ryan Taylor was pretty fast. Steve Buckwalter, even though he finished 7th here, he was pretty fast involved in that group. And Jake Karchner was up there. Chase Dietz has a tire go down coming to the checkered. They are able to get the tire changed really, really quickly, get them back out. Ensuing restart single file. Jake Karchner's car just does not fire, and him and Zach Newland get together going into turn 1. does another single file 1 lap shootout restart, or Mark is able to hold off Chase, who Chase gets around Austin Bishop right there in the last corner. He had about a car length on him at the start finish line, but Chase was coming, that's for sure. But Mark did everything right. He was very fast all night and pulls the win in here. And it was a very enjoyable race. And these, like we were talking with Mark and them, the surface was awesome. It was wide. If you go to our Turn 2 Terribles page, you can kind of see a little bit from my crappy cell phone video. These guys were hauling the mail up top, but they can run middle, bottom. It was a very wide, racy track. Top was where you wanted to be, though, and just I love sitting up there in turn 1, watching them come straight at you, just motor screaming. It's awesome. It's nothing like it. And but yeah, just awesome race. Sucks for Chase Dietz, because man, he was if that goes checkered, I would imagine he had to have broken a 25 lap record there because it went by like that. He was just flying. But regardless, fantastic race.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is tough, right? Because we just had Mark on and Kyle. They're not going to apologize for taking that check home,
Mm.
but it just goes to show you how good Chase is right now, as a team and a driver, and at Selins Grove. Like there was a time where we talked about who's going to beat Danny Dietrich at Selins Grove.
Mm-hmm.
Man, tell you what,
It's Chase
up.
Dietz. We were talking about it last year because we would kind of compare Dietz now at Selins Grove to kind of how Danny was still is at Baps. Like it was like nobody could beat Danny at Baps. Baps is Danny's playground. Well, I kind of feel that way right now with Dietz at Selins Grove.
Yeah, and yeah, what can you say? A couple things from this one. Austin Bishop, some really good runs here the last couple weeks. He had a
Yes.
good run at Williams Grove the other week, another good run here. We obviously know Austin likes Selins Grove and he likes to go fast. So this checks out. Did Billy Dietrich had a really good heat race, made the redraw, right? So really good deal for Billy going back up there. It was cool to see John and both of the Edkins come out. That was kind of cool. Johnny and Kenny there. That was pretty
Yep.
cool. Zach Newland getting some 410, getting some laps under his belt in the 410, put out a good schedule. I don't know what happened to Andy Best, but man, I hope he gets some luck soon so he can finish some 410 races.
So
Do you know what happened
he
there?
had motor issues and he pretty much pulled in. He basically
okay.
started and parked.
Okay, and then broke Zierfoss, Brock
Yeah.
Zierfoss.
Man, listen,
the bad luck continues. It sounds like
his bad luck ended up being Dietz's good luck. So Billy just missed the redraw. They redrew the top 6, so he started 7th. Brock was leading the heat that Chase Dietz was in, by probably a corner and a half, and about halfway through he pulls off. Something happened, mechanical issue. Unfortunate. It just seems like every time that 3C, because he looked fast and looked like he probably had something maybe for Dietz and Danny. He just seems like every time he has speed, he has some type of mechanical issue. Just doesn't have any luck. But his misfortune was Chase's fortune. Now maybe Chase still gets to Brock because Dietz had to come from 4th in that heat, and he just got to 2nd place before he started going after Brock. But with him winning that heat race, that put him automatic pole of this feature. So that's where Chase, didn't just redraw the pole. He went and earned it.
The other positive I'll say from this is Cody Lehman. He likes Selins Grove. He was quick time last fall at Selins Grove. That's a great run, 18th to 5th. I don't care how you do it. 18th to 5th is 18th to 5th.
He had to pass
the other
cars
one
to
here
get there.
is Stevie Buckwalter. Got the motor back. Looks like they finished the race. So hopefully we get to see Stevie on track a little bit more moving forward, because Central P is better with that 17B on the racetrack. So hopefully we see them a little bit more.
I believe he was up in front of Ryan Taylor at one point. I'm not sure what happened where he fell back to 7th, but he was up in the top 5 if I remember correctly. He looked pretty good. Tough
Oh.
break. Go ahead.
Dylan Cisney
Yeah, I
and
was just
5.
yeah,
Were
the
you going to get
5
into
was
that?
back. Yeah, the 5 was back
Was this?
out.
Did we
Looked
know this was
exact.
happening?
No, I had no clue. We know he's been running the 27. I'm guessing he got a ride put together where maybe he was, he showed up and it looked like just like this on my wall here. Just it was black instead of white and yellow frame, unsponsored. Could tell it was pretty much a brand new car for him. So gets a top 10 here. Good to see him out there in the 5. Obviously, like to see him in the 27 too because they've had a lot of success together so far. But it's good to see that 5 back out there on the track as well.
That was a surprise to me when I saw you post that pictures. I was like, wait a minute,
Yeah,
is that Cisney?
yeah,
And that I knew that font. I knew the colors. Like I was like, it's got to be. And then I looked at my race pass and I was like, holy shit, it is. That was pretty cool.
yeah. Tough break for Jake Karchner. Just didn't go on that restart. Ends up getting in. He took a pretty good hit to the inside wall. I kind of missed it. I was trying to get because it was going to be the 1 lap shootout, and I saw Chase go below the cone. I'm like, oh, what's going on? It's because Jake was just didn't fire off, and it kind of caused a stack up, and sucks for Jake
Penalty?
for Zach Newland and for Karkland.
Selinsgrove playing favorites. No penalty for passing under the cone.
And they
Just
said
I'm kidding.
because
I'm
I know,
kidding, everyone.
but they did that, like, say, hey, no, it's not a penalty because he was trying to avoid the wreck, which is very true. Yeah, unfortunate for him because he was fast. He went quick time. He was fast up there. Who knows what he could have did on that restart as well if he would have been able to fire off. He was restarting 4th. Yeah, just crazy performance by Chase Dietz. He was just with the track being so wide, he was able to just use his speed and it was like Mark said, it was still tough getting around lap traffic, but Chase was just so fast at times that it was something. It was really something to watch. And it was still a good battle between, like I said, like 2nd to 5th. Those guys were pretty tight together. And once Mark got around Bishop, he started pulling away a little bit. He was pretty fast himself. So, all in all, listen, I know Williams got rained out. They had 26 cars, 20 cars here. Not on an iffy night with rain. It did not rain there at Selins Grove at all. They got everything in. Fantastic crowd. Susquehanna University football team, they were awesome. They were over and towards turn 4. I'm up on the hill on turn 1, and you could hear them going nuts all night long. They were having a blast. They were bringing them in the victory lane the whole time. They were having a good time. I can't remember the kid's name, and I apologize, but I know Bert was bringing in. He's a sports journalism major that was helping him do some announcing. It's like the 2nd or 3rd time he's done that, and I think that's partially the reason why the football team was there. But he was doing a good job on the mic with him and Bert, and it was just cool. It was just a good vibe, good crowd. These Friday shows, I hate to say it, I don't want to cause. They've been working for them, man. Like it's been really, really good. I haven't really gone to too many regular shows on a Friday night, mostly just the 410s stuff. But man, they've had really good crowds. Even when they started earlier, I mean, we were doing hot laps by 6:45, which is a little bit earlier than you'd want to maybe on a Friday night. But man, the crowds were good. The show was great. I had to leave during the limited late model feature. Got off to a good start, and then they had a red flag. And I ended up leaving because we had that wedding to go to the next day, so I didn't want to stick around too late. But we'll get into other winners here in a second. But they had a really good field, and they were pretty racy. Their heat races and everything were a lot of fun, and the beginning of that feature was good too. So just all around, a really good night for Selins Grove and for Mark Smith, obviously. Like I said, other winners there. Lane Snook won the limited late model feature, and Troy Miller won the street stock feature. There's 25 limited late models. They started them all, and I think there's like 12 or 13 street stocks. They were pretty good. Yeah, so like I said, good night for Selins Grove. Rusty Ryan says Selins Grove was a blast on Friday night. Dave Scott Smeltzer says June 4th is the next one. I can't wait. Yeah, just, you don't, I know it's very controversial. Here's my view on, before we get into the Outlaw stuff, my view on the 410 Grove versus Grove battle. It doesn't need to be every week, but once in a while, I don't think is a bad thing. It makes Williams Grove raise their purse. They still get more cars. You had 46 cars running on Friday night. If it was just Williams Grove running on Friday night, you would not have 46 cars there. You just wouldn't. Just to give other guys opportunity to go race that are in the area, different type of programs. Williams Grove is still king. We know that. But, I don't think it's an awful thing to do this a couple times a year. It gives some opportunity in a different place to race and changes it up a little bit. Like I said, think about when High Limit came into play with I'm not saying that is anything like that, but just competition isn't always a bad thing. It doesn't always have to be so. Competition can help raise everything up a little bit. So, and I think that's
Well,
what it's
I
doing.
think kind of what you're saying, Jimmy. I think it's both ways.
Yes.
I don't know if competition breeds a better product here, like David said. I don't know if it's necessarily that. They're both doing the best they can with no matter what. I don't think the competition breeds that. But here's what happens. I think both tracks see cars that you wouldn't see at the other if it was a normal night, is what you're saying. Both
Yeah.
Williams Grove and Selins Grove, right?
Yes.
Williams
Yep.
Grove picked up a couple cars that you may not have seen otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Selins Grove, we know there's a few cars, the Chris Smith and
There's quite a bit there. I mean,
we know there's a few cars that are going to go up there no matter what. All right, the Mikey Thompsons and Bishop, and those cars are going there. Yeah, some of those would be at Williams Grove, but they wouldn't have gone the other way.
and not on a consistent basis.
Williams Grove picks up a few cars that guys are like, well, I don't want to go over there and not make the show, but here's a night where I have that really good opportunity and I can get the lap. So
Yes.
even though it's a big half miles both sides, I think it has that opportunity where a couple guys show up. And I've seen this over the years at different places, at Lincoln, at Port Royal, where it's that hey, the majority of the crew's going over here. I can go get some laps over here. And where I normally otherwise wouldn't. So, I don't know if it's necessarily making either place step up their game. Selins Grove's trying to get an entry back into this, right, with the new regime.
Yeah.
Williams Grove isn't going to make it other than, hey, purse or
I was
a
just going to
little
say
bit
the
more
purse
incentivized from the money standpoint.
every
But what
time
they do for
Selins
their
Grove.
program, I'm just saying their show, their program, everything else is they do what they do. They didn't
for
change
sure. Yeah.
everything.
But they're
for
not
these,
raising
knowing when the schedules came out.
They're not raising the purse if Selins Grove's not running. So, I mean, that's where I look at it as a positive.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah, because it helps the teams for sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, a couple times a year, though. We don't need to do this weekly. You know what I mean? I don't think we're going anywhere near there, but I don't think, you get people that want to talk about it on the online a lot every single time that they do this. I find it fascinating. But I think it works out for both of them, right? When you have a night like the two nights so far that we've had this year. I know Williams Grove rained out, but it still looked pretty positive. So, Friday night, Williams at Knoxville, World of Outlaws, over 60 entries.
60,000 cars, I want to say.
60,000 cars at Knoxville, with High Limit being off. Plus, you had Knoxville kicking off their season. Brad Sweet here, though, gets the win in the 94, the Silva 94, over David Gravel, Ryan Timms, Brent Marks with a good run, JJ Hickle in the top 5, Aaron Reitzel, Justin Henderson, Mike, Buddy Kofoid, Donnie Schatz, and Emerson Axum, your top 10. Quick time was JJ Hickle. Heat race winners were Gravel, Brent Marks, Reitzel, and Axum, and your hard charger was Sheldon Hanshield going 25th to 18th. Brad Sweet just dominated this one. I think this one went, pretty sure if I remember right, it went green to checkered. And Gravel made some moves to get up into second. He went from 6th to second. There's some, but not a ton of passing throughout the field. A lot of good battles, but this is all Brad Sweet, looking like old Brad Sweet in that new car at Knoxville.
new old sort of someone's car, don't know. They said it's not this car, it's not that car, it's this car, it's not that owner. I don't care. I don't give a shit. It's Paul Silva, right? It doesn't matter. I don't care who you call it, do whatever. It's Paul Silva and Brad Sweet. So, um, you know, uh, every night at Knoxville is a new night because we'll see this as you flip to the page and there's that many cars. The draw, are you on your game? Did you miss your lap? All these things go into play. But as a Brent fan, I got to be very encouraged. There was speed during time trials. There was speed in the feature. Went forward in the feature at a half mile like Knoxville. Um, Very cool to see JJ Hickle. Justin Henderson just put that deal together like a week ago.
Yeah.
Shows up and runs in the top 10. Buddy Kofoid, I think the next night he salvaged his night, I think, or something. I don't remember. But this is the who's who in that top 15. I mean, you look at the names and it's like, no wonder they're wearing huge movers when your hard charger goes 25th to 18th.
Yeah.
This is as good as it gets from the sprint car world right here.
Yeah. Well, let's go into the next night. The next night, David Gravel gets it done in another. There 28 cars started this feature, but David Gravel gets it done over Carson Macedo, Ryan Timms, back-to-back nights for Ryan Timms, finishing third. Logan Schuhart, Rico Abreu, Buddy Kofoid, Cole Macedo, Aaron Reitzel, Brian Brown, Donnie Schatz, your top 10. Heat race winners were Gravel, Macedo, Abreu, and Brown. Quick time was Ryan Timms, and your hard charger, 25th to 10th, Donnie Schatz. Shocker. Always hard charging. Rico with a pretty good run here. He had a decent run. I think, 12th or something that he finished the night before. Started on the pole of this one, fell back a little bit. Gravel gets out to the lead. There was a wreck. Brad Sweet got sideways. Kerry Matson gets into him. They both go out of the race. But Carson Macedo looked really fast. He gets up to second here. He had some really good battles with Buddy Kofoid and Rico and these guys. But all David Gravel here. Night 2 at Knoxville, so you got Sweet versus Gravel first 2 nights. Ryan Timms, I think, stood out to me a little bit just because he did kind of back up the Knoxville Nationals here he still got that same speed to come out the gate there at Knoxville. Aaron Reitzel was very, very good. He's always good at Knoxville, but showing that speed. Yeah, Brian Brown having a good second night. He didn't have a great first night. And Brent Marks here, 14th finish on the second night. He had a good first night with a top 5, encouraging for that team as well.
And Tanner Holmes, 20th to 13th. That's a good run. Kelby Watt, great job. He held his own against some of the best. This one, I fell asleep or passed out, one or the other, or the same thing. But clearly a lot of double-digit movers forward. So I don't know if the track was just in a little different, a little wider, a little bit slower. I don't really know.
It seemed that way.
Yeah, so it makes some sense because we've seen Knoxville. We've seen guys move around and move through the fields. That first night there, it didn't look like a whole lot, but definitely looks like more passing on this one. Yeah, kind of what you expect here. Cream rises to the top, for the most part.
Yeah. Ryan Timms a factor, obviously Gravel. Brad Sweet. Obviously, if he doesn't get caught up in that second deal in the night, he was running around the top 10 as well. So it would have been interesting to see what happened there. Good fields. We kind of knew that was going to happen. We said it last week. I said at least 50 cars. They got at least 60 both nights. And you have a good mix here. Obviously, it is a lot of Outlaws, but there's a lot of high limit guys here. A lot of just Outlaw true Outlaw / Knoxville guys, especially the first night. You had Hickle, you had Henderson, Tasker Phillips, Jace Park, they're Kelby Watt, they're all just Knoxville teams that are going to run mostly out there. So defending home turf, but pretty decently out there. But overall, pretty good weekend at Knoxville. Points wise for the World of Outlaws, David Gravel leads now with a 70-point lead over Carson Macedo. Extends the lead a little bit on Buddy Kofoid, back 104 points. Then Donnie Schatz, Sheldon Hansfield, Logan Schuhart, Garrett Williamson, Cole Macedo, Chris Wyndham, and Spencer based in your top 10. Carson Macedo kind of not necessarily staying lockstep with David Gravel, but he's keeping that gap respectable. Seems like Buddy's kind of obviously there. He can go and rip off a bunch of wins though and close that up as well. So this is not, David Gravel's just that good. He's just so good, and be interesting to watch this points battle obviously throughout the rest of the season.
No doubt.
Let's get into this weekend. And like we said, it's May this weekend. We start off the month of May, and it starts to get real busy. And we started off here with a 4-race, 3-day weekend of 410 sprint car racing, starting with a PA Posse Series race at Williams Grove on Friday night. It is an Outlaw tune-up, and you know what that means. The Outlaws are coming to town. This will be a World of Outlaw format, 410 sprints. You also got the 358 sprints, 7 p.m., $30 to get in. Also going to be on Dirt Vision. Should see a good car count for this one. As we start getting ready for Morgan Cup coming up next weekend. But this is the last PA Posse Series race for a couple weeks, just because we have so much national stuff coming into town through the month of May. So this is like the last of this series for, I think, until, I'd have to look, but I think until like almost the end of the month. It's a couple weeks that they're off. So should be an interesting one on Friday. On Saturday, we have 2 regular shows, not Posse shows. But Lincoln has an Outlaw tune-up because they'll be there Tuesday. The Outlaws will be 410 for Outlaw tune-up, Outlaw format for the 410 sprints. It's also a summer series race, the kickoff of the summer series for the 358 sprint cars. This will be on PA Posse TV if you can't make it, 7 p.m. Again, back-to-back nights, World of Outlaw tune-up format, so they'll run the full time trials. We're gonna do a dash draw. We're gonna do a dash. Get these guys ready for that, and then Port Royal will run a regular show on Saturday. Cameron Autograph Night. I think it's just a draw race or handicap format. I think for 410s. Plus they have super late models and the past 305 sprints. That'll be on Flow Racing, 7 p.m. $25 to get in. Depending on what you want to go see. And then also, Friday night, Selins Grove has a regular show, super late models, 305 sprints, and then they got the SCDRA Northeast 4 cylinders coming in. And then Sunday, capping off a 3-day weekend, BAPS, Spring Valley Mulch Night, 410 sprints, and Super Sportsman starts at 5 p.m., $25. You can catch that on PA Posse TV if you can't make it. So lots of options for racing this weekend. It looks like it's going to be dry but chilly. It's going to be cold, but not awfully cold, like 60 degrees. And at night it's going to get a little chilly. So might want to keep an eye on times. Maybe some of these get bumped up because of the chilly temperatures at night. I don't know. Definitely something to keep an eye on for sure as we get closer to the weekend. But I think the main eye are going to be on Williams Grove and Lincoln this weekend, obviously with the Posse Series races, but also the Outlaw tune-ups as we get ready for the World of Outlaws to come in next week.
Yeah, it's that time of the year. I'm excited. Love what I got going on at BAPS, but I got to tell you, Saturday, I can go to Port Royal or Lincoln, and it's time to get back to Lincoln. It's time. Time trials, 358s. It's time to get back to Lincoln Speedway for me.
And yeah,
I'm ready.
Should have some pretty good competition there. You would imagine every top team is going to be there, and trying to get their package dialed in for when the Outlaws come in.
Yep, it's that time of the year. And Friday night, being, we've already kind of done time trials at Williams Grove. This, like, I still don't necessarily love these Outlaw tune-ups for a track like Williams Grove, who's already done time trials a couple times. Even if it's a group, they know what to do. And, doesn't really add to the show to do 1 or 2 cars at a time in that format. These guys know what they're doing. I don't love it. Kind of makes it longer.
Well, you do the dash and everything,
But listen, they're going to have that 8 times at Williams Grove. I guess maybe once is okay. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a little bit old manish about it, but I just don't see that we have to have this. Lincoln, 1 show. They get 1 Outlaw show. It's the middle of the week. It's Saturday to a Tuesday. Makes sense to me. I don't know. Williams Grove do it at the beginning of the year. The guys that go there get their single cars. I usually do 2 cars at a time, but like, okay, cool, got it. Let's move on. Do we need to do it every time the rest of the year? Because they do it every Friday night before the Outlaws come.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. Just give me the 4 or 5 at a time like we normally do and call it
Group
that.
time
Like,
trials, and then maybe do the rest of
yeah,
the
yeah,
night
maybe
like
rest
an
do the rest
outlaw
of the
show.
format. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, let's not drag it out more than we need to.
Yeah,
Anyway, go ahead.
I don't disagree with that. Yeah, but I do think this is something that they've been doing forever. I mean, it feels like
Yeah,
that every single time the
I know.
Outlaws are going to come in, they do an outlaw tune up. So this is what they
Yeah, listen,
do,
I
and
think
I
this
think it
one.
helps. I do. I think it helps a little bit.
Well,
Gets
and
you
I think
going.
it's I'm looking at it from like 1,000-foot view. I think it also can help the track crew a little bit, the officials.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, this is the format. This is the weekend. It's a big weekend coming. It's a little bit of a dress rehearsal for everyone at the racetrack, right?
Yep.
Like Kevin Nouse is the race director, not his first go around at a touring series show and being a part of it. But at the same time, like everybody that's involved, it's not a bad thing this first one of the year.
Yeah, because you want to make sure
I
you're
don't
on
know
point
about
when the
people.
Outlaws are there. You know what I mean? You want to make sure you can
Yeah.
run an efficient show and everything. So that's a good way to kind of see if there's any holes that need filled or anything like that. You know what I mean? Things that need to be a little more efficient or something. Um,
Whose hole are you filling? What?
well, I don't want to talk about that.
Oh, okay.
um, so yeah, and I guess this would be a good time to talk about it. If you haven't seen the news, um,
What?
starting
There's
this,
news?
there's news. Um, Anthony Macri was at Selins Grove on Friday, but as a spectator, still rehabbing, still trying to, or still healing. That's what I was looking for. Either way, still healing from the back injury that he sustained at Williams Grove. They put out this statement just about a couple hours ago. With Anthony continuing to keep his health and healing process as a priority, he is unable to return behind the wheel at this time. Thank you to all our sponsors for their continued support and understanding during these trying times. With that being said, Macri Motorsports has decided to temporarily fill the seat of the 39M to keep the crew fresh and support our local tracks in the midst of some big events. Casey Kane will pilot the 39M for the upcoming 10 race schedule. This schedule will remain tentative and fluid to keep the best interests of everyone involved. We appreciate the continued and unwavering support of all the fans. And then looking at the schedule here, they will be at Williams Grove and Lincoln this weekend, and then they will run the Outlaw Show at Lincoln on next Tuesday. Obviously, the Morgan Cup. They'll also be at the Milton Hershey School on Thursday, May 7th for the where they do the Milton Hershey thing, and then
Racing the experience. Yeah.
yeah, and then they plan on racing the rescheduled Keith Kaufman Classic from this that got rained out this past weekend. That got rescheduled to May 16th. They plan on racing that, and then High Limit at Grandview on May 19th, and then the Weichert Memorial Weekend at Port Royal to end the month. That is their plan right now. They said it's obviously tentative; it could change. But we got some. If you follow Casey Kane Racing online at all, you saw Casey getting fitted for a seat. I guess earlier last week, I think it was, and I was like, maybe he's cut. And he has his own team, so you figured maybe he was doing something like that. And then they dropped this news on us that he's running a 39M. That's what he was getting fitted for. So pretty exciting. Awesome. Always awesome to see Casey in a car, especially around here in Central PA. And it'd be good to see that 39M back out on the track.
And we were talking about it earlier, on Discord or wherever. Like, imagine if he wins one of these,
Oh my God. Burn it down.
dude. Burn it down. Everybody, like, does anybody not like this guy? No. He was a draw when he was still racing full time, and the Outlaws came to town, or whoever came to town. It was Tony Stewart and Casey Kane, and it was a draw, and absolutely a fan fest. And I hope it. Listen, drivers bring fans. I'm dying on that hill. Drivers bring fans. Names bring fans. I think you're going to get a bump in attendance for it, and I hope for the good of the sport, the good of everything, that 39M gets parked in Victory Lane. I said
Yeah.
that.
It'd be sick.
That would be so cool. I'm here for it. So I'm hype. I'm excited for it, and I think it's just going to bring a little juice to all this, man. A little excitement, a little bit of
Sure.
little bit of just, hey, this is cool, right?
And-
Cool factor. So
End of the day, it puts another top car in the area back on track. Obviously we hope Anthony, is healing and we could see him back in a car sooner rather than later. But I mean, in terms of replacements, you can't do too much better. This is a pretty good deal. And it gets a top car back out on the track.
if he wins, he's posse. I don't care.
Oh, for sure. Oh God, yeah.
Fight me. Yeah, fight me.
Oh yeah. So that's their schedule there. It'll be exciting to see Casey Kane back in the area, running the entire month of May, basically in the state of Pennsylvania. Should be very interesting, and you could catch him this week at Williams Grove in Lincoln. High Limit. Tomorrow night, they're at Arrowhead Speedway in Colquitt, Oklahoma. And then I'd fuck this graphic up. They're in Texas on Thursday and Saturday, not Eagle Raceway.
Texas, Nebraska.
Texas, Nebraska. They're at Texas Motor Speedway Thursday and Saturday. They'll be coupled with another NASCAR high limit weekend, trying to get some, I think these have been working. Get a lot of fans there. Sounds like Carson Hocevar, who just got his first win yesterday in NASCAR. A lot of people are hyped about it. Sounds like he'll be at the high limit race in some capacity. I would imagine in the booth. I don't think he's going to get into a car, but he'll definitely be in the booth.
Damn big.
Yeah.
You'll see a lot of in a sprint car.
You'll see some other NASCAR personalities, and stuff like that there, and they do a good job with this. It helps bring fans in, gets new eyes on the sport. I think these have been going pretty well. So, and the races down there in Texas have been pretty decent. So, for a track that doesn't get used very often, they've been pretty decent. So, I'm excited for that one. So, three races this week. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. No, just thank God for high limit and weekday racing, because it's something I love it. I love it as a fan, no matter where they're going. Something will flow. Like, I was so desperate to watch a race this weekend, even though I was busy, that I watched Hagerstown's Lucas Oil race, right? And it kind of wasn't that great as a race, but I was like, oh, cool, late models race flow. There's something on.
At least there's something.
I don't know what it is, but these weeknights, it's cool to just be able to watch a live sprint car race, from somewhere around the country.
So you could catch all those on Flow Racing. World of Outlaws. We said they're coming in next week, Lincoln and Williams Grove. They'll be in Ohio this week. I'm excited to watch these two races. Attica on Friday. Attica on Friday and Sharon on Saturday. Two of the better Ohio tracks, for sure. They'll be there this weekend. Should see good car counts there. Those will be on Dirt Vision, of course, and then we'll talk about this more obviously next Monday. But then Outlaws come to town here, Lincoln and Williams Grove next week. So start to feel it starting to build up here in the month of May. You get the Outlaws then next week. I think we have a week in between, and then you get High Limit that comes in. There's a week where we run every day but Thursday and Monday, from Friday to Sunday coming up. So I think we run. Let me look at my.
While you're looking that up, like this Attica race, what's the name of that race? Is it the Attica Asshole 40 or?
Whoa! Don't be talking about Attica like that.
What do you mean? I don't know. I just figured they'd come up with something stupid.
No, they don't have a name for this one. Yeah, they called this one
the Hartford Hustle. Isn't there a racetrack Hartford? Some Hartford Speedway somewhere. They called it the Hartford Hustle instead of using Sharon in the name. What the hell's the Hartford Hustle? I don't know.
Well,
it's Ohio.
Now you do, because it's called the Hartford Hustle.
I guess that's what I'm here for.
And it looks like the Quaker Steak and Lube. It looks like the Quaker Steak and Lube logo. So
they're going to lube up the Hartford Hustle.
Yeah,
we're going to lube. We're sliding right in there.
So, month of May, obviously we just talked about this weekend. Next Tuesday on the 5th, you have Outlaws at Lincoln. Then you have Williams Grove Friday and Saturday. Then we're off until the following Thursday Following Thursday, World of Outlaw late models are at Selins Grove, so we won't count that. Friday and Saturday. So I was wrong about the PA Posse series. My bad. So Williams Grove regular show on a Friday, 410 358 show on the 15th. The 16th is the rescheduled Kaufman race with the PA Posse series, I believe, and that's the one with the Empire Sprint Series 360s. That's going to be awesome. I'm excited for that. Really hyped up for that. And then you get a BAPS 410 Sunday show. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, full schedule. Off Monday. Tuesday, high limit at Grandview. Wednesday, Lincoln regular show on that for that first of a couple of Wednesdays that they're trying. Off Thursday, and then it's Memorial Day weekend. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Weikert Memorial. So you have 2 days off in the span of 10 days or whatever. That's pretty insane already for this time of year. So lots of racing coming up. I'm excited for it. You get to see all this top competition come in, see how we're stacking up early in the season. And obviously this is all kind of gets capped by the Weikert here at the end of the month. $100,000 to win, but it starts with the Outlaws here this week or next week.
Yeah. Oh man. Wow. I need a new hard drive for my computer. I'm out of hard drive space. I can't fit all these pictures on a hard drive. Shit.
How about it? Get to some comments here. Daniel Lee says there's a birdie on my shoulder. Did I hear that the 5E is making a return? Seen some rumblings about that.
I mean, I saw the Facebook comments. Is this real? Is this actually real? Anybody have any solid info? I mean, I guess I could reach out to some people, but I haven't. I'd rather be surprised. It'll be a pleasant surprise.
Scorpio GLS. Like him or not, Kyle Larson helps bring more attention and fans to sprint car racing with his ties to NASCAR. Just in general, I mean, he's 100%. Just obviously the NASCAR thing's the biggest thing with him, but he's just a wheelman. So, like, he's been in a lot of different motorsports and yeah, just
I think it's both, right?
Yeah,
it's both. There's dirt track fans. There's dirt track fans that are going to show up if he shows up to one, and then there's the draw from the NASCAR side, of fans or however. So I think it's both,
Yeah, absolutely. Mandy says, "Did everyone see the host of our victory celebration? That was awesome." And I'm surprised that they're not going to outlaw it. I'm sure they'll say something, like
President Steve O'Donnell said, "I'm good with it."
Yeah, they probably don't want to encourage it. But because God forbid something happens.
The new CEO of NASCAR on his first freaking day on the job has Hocevar doing that shit. First day.
What he'd have to do.
Like, first day on the job, you get this guy winning and doing that celebration.
Yeah, that was awesome. Steph goes, I love the post between the Outlaws and Posse tracks, rivals, but have fun with it. Exactly. We've talked about that a bunch on this show. How the Outlaw and Posse rivalry is. It's going to be interesting to see when they come into town. That's for sure. All right.
The Lincoln's called the Gettysburg Clash, and it's not even in Gettysburg. I love that. It's regional.
It's pretty close enough. Oh, and if you're interested in cartoon racing, we're racing at Charlotte and Port Royal this week.
My next 2 DNFs. Got it. Check.
Drink it and dump it. Wait, I want to make sure I get the logo. There it is.
Oh yeah. Not that the guy who made the logo is going to see it because he's on his honeymoon.
Drink it and dump it. Drink it to something that you want to give a cheers to. I know there wasn't a lot of racing this weekend, but there's still always things to give cheers to, and dump it to somebody who maybe had some bad luck. Jay-Z, you want to go first?
Mark Smith. I mean, thanks for coming on the show. Selins Grove win. Gonna definitely do that. We didn't talk about the Swigert thing.
Let's talk about the Swigert thing real quick. No, let's do it real quick.
Oh, okay.
Does it? Because Maddie asked us, the Swigert deal, is it a drink it or a dump it? If you haven't heard, Nick Swigert, who dropped a couple F-bombs in Victory Lane after the 305 feature that he won at Port Royal last Saturday, has been suspended for a year and got his win removed from last Saturday, and has been suspended from the track from all competition for a year due to his conduct in Victory Lane. A lot of people are up in arms about it. I think me and Jay-Z are both on the same page where it's like, it's stiff. I mean, you could correct me if I'm wrong. It's stiff, but this is the message that Ports wants to send, and that's what it is.
I have a bigger problem with the internet's reaction to this than Port's decision. Again,
I agree on that one too. Yeah,
dirt track fans are their own worst enemies, and the amount of low education or low IQ humans that went to the First Amendment right away. Are you actually serious? For real? What world are you living in where it's just an infringement upon his rights that he can't say it?
He could say it.
That doesn't work that way. Read a book.
Now.
No, go read a book. Read a book what that really means. Like, get an education. What are you, third grade? Did you just quit school? Didn't read get an education. Just stop it. That's the stupidest thing I read all week.
Yeah.
Next. The year is like 6 races. It's a calendar year. It's like 6 races.
Yeah.
When I said, hey, when I first read that, I didn't know it was 6 races. And I was like, hey, it's a pretty stiff penalty, but FAFO. And then a buddy of ours who drives in that series was like, yeah, it's like 6 races. And I was like, oh, well, mine was like, well, 6 races sounds fair. Like when I wrote my comments on Facebook, like 6 races, maybe it is 6 races.
Yeah.
Ish, give or take a race or two. I don't know. I didn't do the math. I'm listening to someone else. I didn't really give a shit enough to go actually do the research to find out how many races it was, because I don't care that much.
But it's about that much, yeah. And one of those are invite only, which you would not get invited to because he missed all the other races.
And this guy didn't even have a motor to run with anyway. Who's to say he could have raced the next race? They were back at Port Royal anyway. He borrowed a motor to win/lose that race. Wins, I don't even know. So, relax, everybody. Listen, here's the other part. It's our local fans had this weird outrage about it when they know the history of this guy. I don't care what Port Royal wrote about the interview was the sole reason. The rest of that past series, for the most part, is like, finally they did something for this guy. The rest of everybody that's actually raced with them was like, yeah, finally, thank God they did something. The rest of the world, outside world, was like, oh my God, they hung him on a cross. Oh,
yeah.
Oh my God.
What and people are only seeing
Port Royal because they don't know. They don't follow it. They just saw the news clip and went, oh my God, his rights are infringed upon. They burned him alive. Like, okay, first of all, his competitors love it. Port Royal's not going to stand for it. Port Royal has already shown FAFO, don't do it around here. We're trying to run yes, it's a dirt track, but we're trying to run a professional family environment. Do it right. Do the right thing. When Danny Dietrich comes out and says, yeah, drivers should speak their minds, but 4 F-bombs is a little much.
Right.
Like when he's the guy going, hey, calm down. Come on, everybody. Yeah. So I love it if there was like some hardcore Danny fans that were against this and then Danny comes out for it. Now they had to go, oh my God, what do I do? Do I agree with him or don't I? Oh my God. What do I do? Oh my God. It's like politics when you're against something, but then your favorite politician in your party, you have to change your mind because you built your whole personality around that person or that party. That I could just see heads exploding everywhere in central Pennsylvania. And then the national media takes this and they don't have a clue and they're just wanting to do it off what the penalty is. The national media is just hard. Just like if something happened out in California and you and I sat here undereducated on it and we look like fools. It's possible. I get that. I can honestly accept a little bit of the national side of the media being a little bit like, at least they can talk mildly professionally about it and have their thoughts, but they're undereducated on what's been going on anyway with it too. And I don't blame them. I don't expect them to understand what's going on with the 305 pass series in central PA. Like, I don't expect that. But for our local fans to actually go on Facebook and feel like their comment should be seen and heard and say some of the things that I saw is just wild to me.
It's insane. It really is. And You brought up a lot of good points because where do I start? For me, I think taking the win away was a little bit much. Leave him keep the win. You're getting rid of him for the rest of the season. That's fine. I think that would have been. But either way, Port is trying to send a stiff message to, hey, this is
Everyone.
not what we want here. And we said it last week. This guy had a half an hour to think about his interview. This isn't him just getting out of the car. And a lot of people are just seeing the one clip of him. It's like a 6-second clip, and it's just the one him talking about Port. Not mentioning in the beginning, he just starts coming off with F-bombs in the beginning of his whole entire interview. And it's kind of like, come on, man. Like, act like you've been there before. And here's the thing. He has been there before. He is a good driver. Like, he's won races, and he should know better. You have a half hour to think about it. You know, you could do constructive criticism. You could even bash the track. Who gives a shit? Just do it in a professional manner. You know, and everybody knows that night with the track didn't want the track like that either. You know what I mean? It was the hand that they were dealt. They're trying to get it all in. They had 5 features to get in before it rained, and it did. It rained right after. So anyway, I think that's where most of this is coming from. Something that I find interesting, and I brought it up in one of our chats. They post their top Flow posts their top 5 most viewed events on their service for the weekend. And Port Royal is consistently top 2, if not top 3, every week. Doesn't matter what's there. It's just always just behind High Limit. It beat out last week. Just for a super late model 305 limited late model race. That race, it beat out Bowman Gray. It beat out Utica Rome, Cars Tour. Like it's beating them out just with regular weekly stuff, not even with High Limit or anything like that in. People are tuning in to Port Royal every week because of the product that it has a reputation, and and I'm sure a lot of that is just, man, a lot of people in PA have it too, but I don't think it's just that. I think there is a national eye on Port Royal to an extent, and they know that, you know, and they're trying to make sure that they stay true to that. And a lot of people saw that interview and saw him say that with a child there. You know, like that doesn't look great, man. Like it just doesn't. So, yeah.
Listen, I want to. I love that you brought that part up. I forgot about that. And Port Royal has a lot at stake. It's not just about one interview. This is about the investments that High Limit, Flow have made in them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. This is not something that they're taking lightly, and they're not going to let it happen. And you know, Todd wrote in there, would it be the penalty? Would it be the penalty the same if it was a big 410 driver going off? I'll tell you what, Todd, I don't know that answer. I don't know if they know that answer, but I wouldn't recommend someone trying it.
Right.
I don't recommend it at Port Royal. It may fly somewhere else, but you go to Port Royal, they're setting the standard and saying we're not going to deal with this kind of crap. I'm okay with that. It's their sandbox. Either love it or don't. Play it or don't. But you know what you're going to get if you want to FAFO.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't recommend it. If you're a 410 driver, I don't care if you're a big name or not. Does not matter. We've seen them now bring down pretty harsh penalties, right? 2 completely different incidents, but I wouldn't do either of those things.
Yeah.
I would not recommend doing either of the things that they penalize people for.
And also,
you know, with all those eyes on it, and this can affect sponsorship. They do not want to be Bowman Gray.
no.
Period. End of sentence. Clear. That's a clear point that they do not want to be Bowman Gray. They do not want to be viewed as a circus. They want to be viewed as a professional level dirt track in the country. This isn't about Central Pennsylvania anymore. This is about the country in a bigger scale, and there's a lot at stake for Port Royal. They can do this is the choice they made.
Mm-hmm.
They have to listen. They made their bed. They're going to sleep in it too. But would you rather have it the other way and it be a circus every week and everybody kind of treats it as a joke?
No,
they don't. Clearly.
And I will say this: a big name 410 driver would not be doing that. I don't see.
I agree.
They
have a lot to lose.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I think The only thing different I would have did is let him keep the win because it was after the win, and you're already going to suspend him for a season anyway. So at least let him keep the win. But um, other than that, though, I mean, it is just a couple races when you boil it down. It is the rest of the year though, so it is still a very serious penalty. And like I said, I think Port's sending a message here, and I think it's been received loud and clear, whether you agree with it or not. Message received for sure. Don't just act normal. Don't act a fool.
Yeah, you absolutely have emotion, but just act like an adult. You can have emotion. No track would ever want to take away that, and they would admit
Yeah.
that. I know they would if they all stood in front of you and said, "No, we don't want to take away emotion of victory lane, good or bad. Like we want honesty,
Mm.
but you can still be an adult about it."
And listen, if he is just getting out of the car and he lets that one F-bomb slip where he said, "Man, the track fucking sucked," I don't think you're getting this penalty. Like if
Agreed.
it's just that, it's the combination of everything that
Yep.
led to
That
this
you got to take it
penalty.
all together.
Yeah.
And listen, they don't have to write in there about his previous on track antics. You don't
Mhm.
have to, but
Mhm.
I know I had to have played into this, and it's not the first time, not the second time.
Yeah.
There was a lot that went into it, and yeah, can they go back and say after previous years this? No, they're not going to say that in there. But
Mhm.
listen, this was a long time coming.
Yeah, just the
Earned
way.
it.
Yeah. So,
So
yeah.
drink it, Mark Smith. Dump
Yes.
it. Rain for the
Yeah.
weekend for everybody. So I know I didn't miss anything I wasn't already going to miss, but just a shitty weekend. We had it coming. It
Yeah.
is what
I
it
mean,
is.
we haven't
So
had too many
there you
rainouts
go.
this year, to be honest. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna also drink it to our buddy Andrew May, who got married. That's where we were on awesome wedding on Saturday. Had a great time. Congratulations to him. He's our Bedford correspondent. Maybe we'll bring him on when Bedford has a. We had him on a while ago as our Bedford correspondent.
Correspondent.
But congratulations to him and his wife, and dump it to. Oh, I also want to drink at the Selins Grove. They had a great crowd there. I think they had a great night on Friday night. I want to do that. Dump it to Brock Zierfoss, man. Just more bad luck. I don't know who else to really dump it to. It looks like you guys do though. Let's get the couple of yours. Marie says drink it to Mark Smith win and Kyle Cummins win. Dump it to Chase Dietz on another second place. Yeah, I guess Chase Dietz would have been another good one. Tough luck, but man, did he come back and put on a show? Daniel Lee, drink it to Mark Smith in the win, having him on the night. Dump it to the Crate Lane models at Hagerstown. Let's do better. What did you say last night? They had 7 laps in a half an hour. They had to time them out.
They had a 30-minute time limit for this race, and it checkered flagged. Kyle Lee gets the win. He made a pass right before the next yellow. I mean, right as the yellow was coming out, he made the pass. Lap counted, checkered flag, 7 laps in 30 minutes.
That's rough.
It was bad.
That's rough. All right, Mandy. On a weekend with not much racing, she still has a way to be able to
She's got to get
fit
her thoughts
everything.
out. I think
Got to get
she's
them
been
out.
holding this in all night.
Drink it to Mark Smith winning, a great interview with Mark and Kyle. Casey Kane back in a race car in a 39M, back on track. Tanner Holmes checking on Dason Pursley after they wrecked on Tuesday. I forgot to do that one too. Dump at the Chase Dietz is blown tire, all the wrecked race cars at high limit and elsewhere. Hoping for a speedy recovery for Jason Martin. Weather and standing around and waiting for Williams Grove to either cancel or run the track in on Friday. Relatively short one for Mandy this week. I totally forgot about Tuesday at Eagle. Eagle was an awesome night. That was an awesome show. There was a lot of wrecks. It was a marathon a little bit. It was on FS1. They went over the time limit a little bit, but it was a good show. And Corey Day won, and then he ended up winning on Saturday. How about that? So getting his first NASCAR win. Doug Kreiser. Drink it to Mark Smith. Dump it to the rain out for Lucas Oil at BAP Saturday night. That was tough. Sucks for
I hate
them.
it for him.
Um,
Not Lucas Oil. I hate it for BAPS, by the way.
Yes.
That's
yes.
what I mean.
100%. I kind of missed a couple things. I totally forgot about Eagle on Tuesday too. Well, those were our thoughts basically. Thanks to Mark Smith. Thanks to Kyle Keen for joining us. A lot of fun. Congratulations to them on their win on Friday night. Thanks as always to you guys for tuning in live, or if you're listening the next day, we really appreciate you guys checking us out. If you can, please make sure you like, subscribe, and share. We've been seeing a lot more people joining the community here with us a little bit. It's been awesome. We appreciate every single one of yous, and that'll be it for us tonight. Hopefully we'll see you at the racetrack this weekend.
And thank you to Karchner Warehousing and Logistics. Check them out.
Yes.
Anything
Thank
warehousing
you.
and logistics, get it checked out. They're
Yes.
big support.